Hey, how are you? Good to see you all. That's it. That's it. We are done for week one. That's it. It's all over. Uh, hey, let me turn up the microphone. There you go. That's it. It's in the books. Week one. I can't believe it. I really can't. To be done. Seemed like an impossible mountain like 4 days ago, but we got there in the end. Everything worked out. It's been a great week here in Morwell. It's been nice to meet people, talk to people throughout the town and stuff like that. But it's good to see. It's nice to be on at a decent time. It's nice not to be on at 9 a.m. in the morning American time. Although I think a lot of people really like those streams. You're not getting 9 a.m. streams when I go home. You're not getting them, okay? No. I'm not doing midnight 1 a.m. when I go home to Melbourne. Um, yeah, so today was a short day. I told you that this morning. It wasn't going to be a very long day today. We had a feeling that today was probably going to be, somewhere in that like 2.5 hours, something like that. And that's basically what we got. I'll run you through some of the details from today's cross-examination of Simon Patterson, and I'll read you from my notes that I was able to get done really quickly today. Can we have half days every day so I can get through my notes before 3 p.m.? That would be good. I'd like that. Although the trial would take like 12 or 14 weeks. I'm not sure anyone wants that. I'm not sure anyone's keen for a 14-week trial. So we're just going to have to deal with that being a Friday thing. But yeah, there we go. Only a couple of hours today. Heard more from Simon. I'm going to pull that up in a second. It is just before 3 p.m. Just before 3 p.m. here, and we'll be back next week. We'll be back next week covering the trial for week 2 and week 3, 4, 5, 6, 27. Who knows how many weeks? The only thing I wanted to tell you is that there's a possibility next week I won't actually be here. I'll be somewhere else, and it's something has come up that means I have to go back to Melbourne for a little while, and it'll be fine. We're still going to be doing all this. It's not a problem. It's just that I have to be close in Melbourne due to it's just due to Mrs. Ping's medical stuff. So there's something coming up next week that I don't want to be 2 hours away in case she goes into surgery or something like that. I want to be in Melbourne in case she has to, be operated on. So that came up, and yeah. So anyway, she's coming. She's going to be here in what time is it? 3, probably like 3-4 hours, something like that. So you can hang out with me until she gets here. I don't think you're going to get a live stream with her tonight. I don't think she wants it. I think she's sick of live streams, sick of media, sick of maybe me too. I would be sick of me too. Hey, good to see you. I'll just say hello to some people. Hey, Rachel, good to see you, my friend. Totally understand that family is first. Yeah, and she already had some stuff this week that I had to be away for that I really would rather not have been away for, but can't miss the first week. Marylander says we are spoiled. I don't think you guys are spoiled. I think I can do a better job of this, and I think as we go along, I will do that. And I think as we got to today and sort of to the last day of the week, Ping's starting to put it together a bit better. So that's good. I'm happy with that. Hey, Lindy, good to see you. Who else is here? Marilyn Landis is here. Well, did everyone else go to bed? Did they get off Web Sleuth and they just went to bed? Bloody Web Sleuths. They always steal my times. No, they don't. I was still in court. Carolina says, hi, everyone. I'm starving. Going to get a snack. I don't think I've eaten yet. I don't think I'll eat later. I'm not interested in eating right now. When you get in these work modes, it's just like food later, like sometime 5 hours from now. All right, let's get started. Let me get my notes up. That is not my notes. That is not my notes either. Actually, I want to send. Can we do it like this? I'd rather we didn't. Guys, give me 1 second. I just want to send this to my phone. I want to send my notes to my phone because it's easier to read off the phone than to have like a giant document in front of my face on the screen and I can't control anything. No, that's not the right program, you silly computer. I hate laptops, man. I'm so sick of it. I can't wait to go home to my big computer, my big custom-made computer that'll actually work and do what I want it to do. All right. The fuck? All right. Give me a sec, guys. I just want to send this off to my phone. And then we can get started. I should have done that first. That would have been a good thing, right? That's all right. I like hanging out with you guys. Yeah, so we can do that. We can go into here. What did I label that? Yep, notes 4. All right. Yeah, we don't need a title. That's fine. All right. All right, give me 1 sec. Apparently, I don't bring any equipment when I do live streams. I just leave them in other places, you know. Very unprofessional. Give me 1 sec. I'll go grab it. Actually, guys, I'm just going to mute everything. I'll be back. I know inevitably someone is going to ask, why didn't you do this before you hopped on the show, Ping? And I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I like to be unprofessional. That's what I'm known for, apparently. All right. Let's download that to my phone. And we can open it. Sure, we can do that. No, I don't want that. Not now. Yeah, all right. Okay, no worries, Ping, take your time. We have nothing but time now. It's the weekend, which I'm really stoked about. All right. Okay, that's there. That's done. All right. All right. So let me talk to you about some of the interesting things, or I don't even know if I can say that, but just some of the things we were told today in court. And one of the things we were shown today was a video. And this video has a title. Its name is Rocket Car. And what was in this video? Well, I'm going to tell you. It's a video that shows Don Patterson. Don Patterson, he is one of the people who passed away. And it says here in my notes, Don Patterson was my thing of the video is that he was attempting to power a toy car, and it had a rocket on it, so like it's supposed to fly. And he says, or it's supposed to move forward. It says, but instead, it just simply fizzled out. It just smoked out. It didn't really work. And you can hear on this video a voice saying, it's working, but why isn't it going? And the voice could be heard saying, it said, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there because I don't want to redact all this. But yeah, it was this video of like supposed to be this big grand thing, and it just went. So that was just one of the interesting things we saw today. So Simon had a grin on his face when he was watching this video. I'm guessing he had seen it before. I think that's what we'd said in the trial transcripts. And it says here, actually, I'm going to switch to my other notes, but I just wanted to tell you that because maybe we'll get to see that at some point. I do know at some point we will get access to some exhibits and things like that, but probably not till, I don't know, some point in the future. When is that? Could be 2029. We'll see. Okay, let me go here. So one of the points of questioning today in this cross-examination of Simon Patterson, and I'm going to switch back to my other screen. So when we do this, all right, here we go. Let me get my notes. Okay. One of the things they talked about today, and it was one of the points made throughout today, was Erin over time, over years, often complained about different medical issues and thought she was unwell with different things. And they asked him, is that what occurred? And it says here, is it not the case that Erin over the years often complained about medical issues and thought that she was unwell for various different reasons? And Simon said, yes, that is true. And they asked various reasons, which in the end had no substance or limited substance. And he says, no, that wasn't my perception. And they say, your perception was she had medical issues which were of substance. And he says, yes. He says, so she struggled with, and she told me she struggled with arrhythmia of her heart where she'd get double heartbeats. And that affected her, apparently it affected her sleeping. And he says, I believe that to be true. And I still have no reason to disbelieve that. So he's saying that at this point in time, he still believes that to be a real medical issue that she either deals with or has dealt with. And he says here, I believe that to be I believe that to be true, and I still have no reason to disbelieve that. So that is perhaps one example. She went to the hospital a number of times, and I believe that she generally needed hospital care. She struggled a lot with mental illness. This bit we have to be careful with. Both postnatal depression, especially after the child was born. I ain't even going to give you a sex. I ain't going to give you nothing. The word I use in all my notes is child or the children. And that's all you're getting. You can kiss my ass for all I care. It says here, yeah, so she had suffered with mental illness and both postnatal depression, especially after the child was born. And he says, I believe that was real. She did tell me a few years ago that she had been diagnosed with a kind of disease, and he goes into this like sort of when we were watching the trial today, he was trying to find a name for it, and he says here, I'm still trying to think of a name for it. Chronic fatigue, but not chronic fatigue, that kind of thing. And then he goes on to say, like lupus, motor neuron disease, MS, those kind of diseases. I forget the term that describes them. And then they ask, she told you she'd been diagnosed, and then they with chronic illness with them, or that she, hold on, my notes are messed up too. Oh, that she told me. So yeah, they said she told you that she'd been diagnosed with them, or that she had suspected she had it. And he says, she told me that and he goes on to say that diagnose is actually the wrong word here to use. And he says, I'll tell you why that's not quite the right word he would want to use. He says, I'll tell you why. Because she said a doctor had told her that she was suffering from one of those illnesses, but they can't diagnose it. They thought probably MS, but she told me, you can't diagnose MS by just doing a simple blood test and then, you get an answer. it's a longer diagnostic process. So she said she had blood tests that confirmed she was suffering from one of those kind of diseases, but she didn't have a diagnosis. And then they ask, had she, to your knowledge, in October 2021, been concerned about ovarian cancer? And he says, Erin has never told me she's concerned about having ovarian cancer. In December 2021, there was an exchange between you and her on a Signal private messenger chat. So we talked about Signal. I explained what that is another time, so you guys should all know. And it says, I probably... they say here, it's in relation to whether or not she had a heart issue, and she messaged you, Simon, saying, hey, do you remember that stupid Latin name that was given for my heart issues years ago? And they quote this as being on December 20, 2021. And they just say, okay. And they ask, does that ring a bell for you, to Simon? And he says, it vaguely rings a bell, yeah. And they say, the phrase, stupid Latin name. And he says, yeah, that seems right. And he says, this is Colin Mandy. And you replied, it sounds like synatachycardia to me. That was the reply that he sent to her of the stupid Latin name. And it's synatachycardia. And they said, and he also says, sounds like synatachycardia to me. Why do you ask? Question mark. And then she replied to that, I've just Googled it. I've never actually seen it written down before. Okay. So interesting conversation for some reason. They say, does that jog your memory about this discussion between the two of you? And they say, she was in Tasmania, as I understand it, and you were having this exchange about that. Simon replies to Colin Mandy, I vaguely, very vaguely remember that. So his last couple of answers say it demonstrates he's not fully across it. He says like further up before, he says like, yeah, that seems right. That vaguely rings a bell. Yep. Or I think it's yep or yeah. Yep. Sorry, I said yeah. I think it's yep. And then they said, does it jog your memory about that discussion, the one that I just mentioned to you? And yeah, and then his reply is, I vaguely, very vaguely remember that. So it's not like this is something that he remembered like vividly. He had to be prompted here a couple of times. And then they say, and she replied to your message, thanks, I was just curious and wanted to Google it because of this specialist guy, thinking maybe there's something going on with my heart. And they just say, okay. Yeah, so, and then there's another message here that says, Dr. Cassie said I was supposed to get an ECG. This is Erin. I was supposed to get an echocardiogram, which I thought was an ECG, but it's not. So I'm booked in for one when I get back to Victoria. And they just say, okay. Does that jog your memory about this particular discussion? And he says again, I still very vaguely remember it. So they've gone through these different sort of questioning about this particular conversation. And each time his answering to it, it's not like, doesn't seem like it's confirmed. He just seems very vague on it. Like, you know, I sort of remember something like this. It's vaguely familiar to me. And then they say, so in relation to this issue, the medical issue that Erin said she wanted to discuss, it was your father, Don, who had first suggested to you that it was a possibility that the elbow issue might be cancer some weeks before. Is that right? And he says, Simon says, he had told me that a few weeks before. And they say, when you saw him, So hold on. Let me jump down here. Okay. And they said, when you saw him, you gave the jury some evidence about a conversation that you had with him in hospital. And he says, yes. And that when you saw him in hospital that day, plainly, he was in a bad way. And Simon says, yeah, he was. They ask, it was distressing for you, question mark. And he says, it was. So he's talking about his dad being in hospital and, just being really ill. He's described it. That's what they're referring to. The other day, they described it in evidence to the jury. He described how sick his dad looked and how frail he looked. There was a description. I might maybe able to go back later and get it for you. Since it was directly brought up today, I can talk about it. Just one of the things we have to be careful of is unless they call back to a specific part of evidence, we're not allowed to be like, on day 2, this happened. Like, you can't do that. So, got to be a little careful with that. And they say, yep, most certainly. And they said, was it distressing for him? And he said, yes, most certainly it was. So, really, really sad. Really, really sad. And they said, and you can't now remember the exact words that he said when he had that discussion with you about what was discussed at the lunch. And Simon says, that's true. That's true. So these were the main points I really wanted to bring up with you today. Today was a short day. These are the ones, and the video of the rocket car, which I thought you would all find interesting. There's some other stuff here, but I just don't want to. I just don't want to talk about it. I have no appetite to deal with any of this stuff that may or may not involve children or things like. I just don't want to do it. Have no nothing. You can go to a different journalist or reporter or YouTuber for that. I just don't want to do it. But these are the points that I found today that I thought were something you should all know before the weekend. I think these were the bits that stood out to me, the evidence that was given in front of that jury today in this cross-examination from Colin Mandy SC and Simon Patterson. Marylander says, I feel so bad for Simon. I don't have a comment on that one way or the other. I don't know. Yuda says, I read about court rules in Australia for reporting, especially criminal trials, very strict indeed, stricter than the UK. It is hyper strict. Hyper strict. There is so many different things you have to think about. And you guys might be like, oh, you read us like 3 pages. Yeah, I did. And that's all you're getting. Because I'm not risking jail time for you guys. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. If you want to read the Daily Mail, where they have multi-million-dollar lawyers that can defend them in case they fuck up, go for it. They don't tend to screw up though, because everything gets passed through like a series of levels. But I'll give you what I feel safe in reporting to you, and that's out of the 2.5 hours that we had today. These are the ones that I felt okay talking to you about today. Yeah, it's been a good week. Tried to stay ethical all week with my reporting. I hope I've achieved that. I'm sure there's a lot of reporters around that are like, no, someone in the back yelled no, but apparently this is Erin a hypochondriac or what? Well, I don't know. But the answers that were given in this particular cross-examination, you have to look at that, what I told you, and come up with your own things. You can't give me any theories in the chat, guys. Remember, no theories. Otherwise, actually, I have to delete that most likely. Yeah, no theories, please. Rachel said, I understand that's the reason we love and respect you. I appreciate it. It's been a great week here in Morwell. The trial coverage will continue Monday at 10:30. I just won't, most likely will not be in Morwell for this particular week. But I will still be covering the trial, and I should be back out in Morwell for week 3. I was hoping to be back out here Monday, but things have sort of popped up over the last couple of days that mean that, if something goes terribly wrong, I'm so far away that I can't get there in time. So I don't want to do that. So, um, you know, that's okay though. We're still going to cover it. I promise. You're going to get the same details every day. There's going to be no change for you guys. You guys are not going to see a difference. I'm just not going to be sitting in a hotel room. That's the only difference. You might actually get me on my big computer. Maybe. Judah says good. And Marilyn says your wife is more important. Sometimes true crime is way more important. Don't tell her that. She'll divorce me. Let's see. You guys are not spoiled. You guys are getting the coverage that you deserve. So, Rachel says home is where you need to be. It's just for a few days, and then I'll figure it out. I'm still waiting on some advice. I'll get that at some point in the future, and yeah. So we go home in the morning. We're heading back to Melbourne. Yeah. So today was a pretty short day. 10:30 we got underway, and we were done. I think it was. Hold on, let me check my timestamps on my notes. Like 10:40 or something. Like 10:40. What does it say? Something like that. It was just before 1. Just before 1 we sort of finished up, and it was a very quick day today. That's why I was able to edit out these notes, get all the stuff I wanted done, and get online before 3 o'clock. If only it was this simple every day. If only it was only 6 pages every single day. That would be great. But unfortunately, trials don't work that way. They're normally like, I think opening statement day was 150 pages or something like that. 150? Something like that. It was over 100 pages of notes that I'd written, because we were just typing all day. There was no break. It was like we had court time, and court time was just not anything else but typing. You don't even watch. You just listen. You're just typing with your head down. Rachel said, so is Mrs. Pink coming tonight? Maybe you can go out to dinner and relax a little bit. Yeah, so she's coming up in a few hours. She's coming, I think, about half an hour. She can start doing what she needs to do to come up here. But it's about a 2-hour drive from where we live out east. So we got to go really. So we live in the southeast already, and we got to go really far east. So we got to go jump on a highway and basically just keep going for like 2 hours. But I can tell you that my experience in Morwell has been really good. The people here are lovely. I've met several different people. I met people at my hotel. I've met people in the street. I've met shopkeepers. I've met people at the courthouse, like all over Morwell. And I have not had a single negative experience. Oh, shoot, that shouldn't come up. I have not had a single negative experience here all week. Not one. I've had a great time in Morwell. I thank the city. Thanks for having us. Thanks to everyone, all the citizens. I appreciate it. I hope we stayed out of your way for the most part. That's what my plan was just to go to court, get home, hide out in my hotel room. Don't be a nuisance. Don't be part of the problem. And yeah. So that's the information I wanted to tell you today. I know a couple of journalists have put out some reports, different ones. You can go read them if you want. This is what I felt was the coverage that you guys would be most interested in. There's a little bit more there, but I actually think this is what was said in front of the jury that was important, and I need to get it out to you. So you just said that's great, Ping. Yeah, I had some. I can tell you, I had some reservations about coming out here. We have family that live not too far from here, and they were telling us all these horror stories. I think they were trying to wind us up, but yeah, they no problems. I've been here alone for like the last 3 days, and I've been walking around the city at night and just hanging out, going to places, getting food, going to shops, talking to random people. Not a single problem. No one tried to get in my face or anything like that. Everyone was just like, kept to their own business. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this live stream. This is the final update for week 1. I'm going to end it, and then I'm going to open up another secondary live stream where we can be a bit more free in how we talk. And I've got some other cases I want to cover from America. So give me 2-3 minutes and we'll be back on a new live stream. Okay, so this is the update, final update, week 1, Erin Patterson trial. We're done. It's over. Week 1 in the books. It's finished. And let's all get ready for week 2. Monday, same time, we'll be back online. So, all right, let me get out of here. I'll start the new one, and I'll see you on the second live in a minute.